get some bands and I get some bands and my little baby, yeah. I get some bands and I get some bands and my little baby, yeah. I get some bands and I get some bands and my little baby, yeah. I get some bands and I get some bands and my little baby, yeah. Lace up and drip it down, take her wherever, yeah. Say the word and we take trips on with whatever, yeah. Don't bring me down.
Hello, and welcome to another episode interview with a schizophrenic. I'm your host, Duncan Singer, and today I have the great pleasure of having Paul from Worcestershire in England. He's 25 years old and has a schizoaffective diagnosis. So welcome, Paul, to the show. How are you doing today?
Hi. Yeah, I'm okay. Just I've only just woken up, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of that's kind of part of the cause for people on antipsychotic medication is to we need our sleep, I guess.
Yeah. I've had a lot of problems with the medication and sleeping.
Yeah.
Sleeping too much. But I'm
Well,
okay.
I mean, it is a real problem because I have it as well, and lots of people have on antipsychotics have the same issue with sleeping, um, because yeah, it's. I mean, I guess all I can say is that the longer you take them, it kind of gets easier, but it's still there. I suppose.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, definitely. I think the problem before in the past for me has been I've had sort of the antipsychotic causing the sleeping, and then some of the other medications I take for the condition has just made it so I've just slept like up to 16 hours a day sometimes.
yeah, yeah. I know. I do recall um, back around 2012 when I took some time when I left my job and I took some time out to recover. I'd go to bed at midnight, or no, I go to bed at like 10 o'clock and 10 p.m. and I would hope to get up at like 9 o'clock in the morning, but I would regularly sleep through sort of after midday, and there was nothing I could do about it. It was just I was so tired, it's just
Yeah,
it's
I do
just
find it.
it's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, I do find it that it's very difficult to force yourself to get up when you're in that sort of state. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay then. So what, Paul? So why don't you tell us about how your mental health journey began? You're 25 years old, so give us a brief history of the events leading up to the diagnosis and what happened there.
Um, so I had my first episode when I was 19. I
Yeah.
was doing a lot of drugs at the time, and I was just getting mentally unwell. And then I ended up going to the doctor after being pushed by some friends and family. Um, and then they diagnosed me with having a psychosis. Um,
Okay.
and then, so I was sort of having an episode for about a year after that, and until the medication and stopping doing as much drugs as I was doing before sort of took effect. And then I had another episode when I was 22, again because I'd started doing drugs and drinking again, and I ended up going into hospital, um,
Mm.
and I was in there for 7 months, and then that was when they diagnosed me with schizoaffective. Um,
I, I mean, so you were taking drugs. Was it just recreational? What you weren't addicted. It was. I mean, tell us about that.
um, well, I used to smoke cannabis every day. Um, I know a lot of people say it's not addictive, but I personally do think it's addictive, even if it's just a mental addiction. But I was
Mm.
also doing a number of hallucinogens. Um, I was taking codeine regularly, which I did feel addicted to, and I was also drinking fairly heavily.
Yeah, I mean, I guess around that age, 18 to early 20s, people do experiment all when I was younger, all I did was cannabis. I know it's psychoactive, but I guess, and there is supposed to be a link between cannabis and psychosis. Um, but yeah, man. I mean, yeah, I think when you're young, you want to enjoy yourself, right? So I guess so you do these sorts of things. But do you think it was like a major causal effect of your psychosis?
Um, I really do. I don't necessarily think is the same for everyone, but I don't do any drugs now. And I did smoke in Amsterdam this year, and I felt sort of the effects of feeling a bit like I was in a psychosis when I did smoke. So I do sort of attribute a lot of the severity of the psychosis down to the drugs.
I went to Amsterdam myself last year, and what I had, I don't know if you had as well, but I had a space muffin, and
Yeah,
I can't remember the THC content, but it was pretty high. And I went to McDonald's and ate the space muffin, and then I thought I'll just walk around Amsterdam, and I was out of it. I was completely out of it, and I also experienced psychosis like symptoms, as a losing touch with reality. um, but it was something I hadn't felt for about 10, 15 years. It was like an old psychosis resurfacing,
yeah,
which was kind of interesting. It was yeah, it's strange, but I don't know if cannabis is like a healing drug or something, but I don't know. That I definitely did feel the psychosis, and yeah, it was kind of scary. I think I just sat on the pier
yeah,
sat next to a wall by a canal until it wore off a little bit. But yeah, okay. So what sort of tell us about what you're doing now? Are you in recovery? Are you working on your recovery at the moment?
I'd say I'm still trying to recover, but I'm doing a master's degree and I have a part-time job,
Okay, cool. What's your master's degree in?
engineering management,
Ah, cool. What was your bachelor's?
chemical engineering.
Ah, I did chemical engineering as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I did. I did. I graduated in 1997. But I did chemical engineering. Yeah, it's a tough course. It can lead anybody to psychosis. That course. Blimey. So what? So what? That's great, man. Yeah. So with that bachelor's and that master's, you can do a lot, and that you can do a lot with your life. I think.
Yeah,
So I mean, I took 7 years when I just claimed sickness benefits,
yeah,
because I just couldn't do anything. And when we used to go to what's called a recovery college, um, and they're the speakers. They all had mental health problems, but they all recovered to the point that they could become recovery workers for the recovery college, and it was really inspiring. And some people take a long time. Some people take years out to recover. There's
yeah,
no set time how long it takes. You know, um, so yeah, it takes. You just got to give yourself time and until you feel strong enough. And also, the more time you get out, you kind of feel hungry. You kind of think, yeah, I really want to get back into it and do something.
yeah.
So
I
yeah,
I I took sort of after leaving hospital. It was during my degree that I went into hospital, so the university had given me um they let me retake the second half of the year, and after I'd sort of dropped out the second half of the final
yeah,
year, um, they
yeah,
let me retake it, and I finished it. And then I just took sort of 2 3 years to sort of get back into a state where I felt ready to work
yeah.
or study properly. Um,
Cool.
it's nice to
So how
see.
are you feeling? So
Uh,
how are you feeling now? What is your mental state at the moment? Um, I mean, tell us about that.
Um, I'm generally okay with the medication. Sometimes I think recently I had to get my medication increased because I wasn't feeling so. Um, I was sort of experiencing mild symptoms, but since it's been increased, I've been a lot better, to be honest.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, medication it it does take the edge off. I mean, do you employ other sort of strategies? Do you, because a lot of people like to experiment with art or have hobbies, just to, I think it really helps, that therapeutic approach of when you can do something that will soothe your mind. Have you looked into that?
Um, I haven't looked into that in particular, but I'm supposed to be seeing a psychologist sometime soon to sort of manage my
Okay.
symptoms better.
Okay, cool. So I've got a list of questions. So I'll just put you on, give you a mastermind moment, I guess. Um, how did your friends react through your mental health journey?
Um, Most of the reactions were fairly positive and supportive. Um, some
Sorry, I
people,
couldn't catch that.
um, most of my friends were very supportive and positive to me,
That's
but
great.
a couple of them weren't able to. That were like very close friends weren't able to sort of support me for their own mental health. But we're friends now. I'm better, if that makes any
Good.
sense.
Yeah, it does. And how did your family react to your, maybe not just your immediate family, but your extended family? How did they react?
Um, I haven't really told my extended family, but my immediate family have been sort of with me the whole way. Um, my parents visited me multiple times a week when I was in hospital,
Mm.
and I live with them now because they support me through like my day to day stuff.
Mm. Okay. Do you? What are your? Are you experiencing any psychotic symptoms at the moment? That is, I mean, do you experience? Are you going through some intense delusions or hallucinations, or is it pretty much calmed down due to the meds?
Um, I do experience some sort of. I experience a lot of paranoia, um,
Yeah.
and my main problems are with my mood, um, and I struggle with my mood a lot. Um, but I do experience a lot of paranoia, and sometimes I get hallucinations, um, which involve sort of spiders and bugs sort of crawling around and over me when there's nothing there when I can see them. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, I've heard people talk about that. Um, I've heard people talk about that. Okay. What else is? I want to ask you. What do you believe schizophrenia, schizoaffective? What psychotic disorders? What do you believe they are?
Um, I kind of, in my opinion, a lot of the psychotic disorders are caused by sort of different reactions in the brain to the chemicals in the brain. I think I've read that one of the common theories around um, schizophrenia is something to do with the dopamine receptor or something like that. And it's
Yeah, that's a
about
textbook.
yeah,
That's a textbook answer, Paul. But if that was correct, surely the medications would cure us. You know, and they don't. They're not a full cure, are they?
no,
Um, I'm just. What I'm trying to say is, I'm just trying to lead you so that you can think perhaps what could it be? What? what is actually going on here. Um, have you experienced any synchronicities?
What does that mean?
So synchronicity is like if you're thinking about, you could be thinking about, say, Duncan, and then just when you're thinking about it, um, I send you an email at the
Yeah,
exact same time. That's is that's what synchronicity is. It's like a coincidence, but it's it's so ridiculously accurate. It's just it can unsettle you. Um, and they kind of they don't have. I mean, for me, they don't happen. They happen occasionally, not like every day. More like once every 3 to 4 months.
yeah,
Um, so that's something that you might experience. Um,
yeah.
it's
I used to
kind
get
of
stuff like that
interesting.
a lot. It used to be with people posting on Instagram and music videos that I used to see.
Yeah,
That I'd feel would very much relate to something that I was currently going through, um, really specifically. If that makes
mm,
any sense, or I feel like
yeah.
if I was I'd feel like I'd get advice from some random Instagram posts from celebrities sometimes.
Oh yeah, that is that's definitely classic psychosis. And Paul, have you ever been in hospital?
Yeah, I was in hospital for 7 months.
Oh really? So what
Yeah.
was your experience like in hospital?
Um, I have a few friends from hospital that I'm uh, still speak to, and I'm glad to be friends with them. But
Mm.
in general, I don't like being in hospital. Um, I feel like I was worse in hospital because of the atmosphere and not being able to leave. It
Yeah.
felt a bit like a prison because I wasn't allowed to leave or at all for a long time. And then when I
Yeah,
was allowed to leave, it was only for a short amount of time.
the hospital mental health wards have changed quite significantly in the last 20 years, from when I was an inpatient and to what they are like now. Because yeah, you say prison, because when I visited a mental health ward last year, and it's like high security. um it's quite it's a different atmosphere there as well. It's kind of, you're kind of watched, and you're kind of, when I went to hospital, there was security, but it was only like one door. But the mental health ward that I visited, there was a door in your room, there was a door in the ward, and there was a door on the main entrance, which just made it hard to escape. But no, but you
Yeah,
know what I mean, right?
yeah.
But yeah.
Um, in mine, there was sort of you had windows on your doors so they could see in at any time.
Mm.
That was like they wanted
Oh,
us.
really?
Yeah.
That's like what I have in prisons.
When I first was there, they wanted the door to be left open, so they could see what I was doing at all times. Um, yeah,
Do you think they're a bit heavy-handed?
yeah, I do think they're a bit. It's a bit too much. When I first was in, I didn't know what was going on really, and no one really sat down and explained it to me. And then I sort of wanted to leave because I was in voluntarily initially, and I sort of kicked off, and then I just sort of got um, surrounded by like 6 people holding me down, and they injected me
Are you
to calm me down.
serious?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I feel like it's a bit too much, and they need to really rethink.
I think what it's down to is it's just simply fear, and because maybe they don't really understand the condition. And also in a mental health ward, you have schizophrenic patients, bipolar, depressives, the full gamut of mental health disorders. So I guess for the orderlies, they probably are quite ignorant about the conditions. It's not their job to know the medical details, medical symptoms. So I guess they just want to control the situation.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay. Yeah.
sorry, carry on.
Well, I felt the main problem is not necessarily from the people, the just the ground staff, but there's a big problem with some of the doctors. They say they said to me multiple times if I didn't stay voluntarily, they would just force me to stay for a long time, and that's what happened. I didn't want to stay voluntarily, so they just said we're just sectioning you, and you have to stay for. And I stayed for like 4 months after that. I feel like that's a problem with some of the doctors in there, just kind of, making you stay.
So you're at home now. That's in the past. Are there certain things that you're doing that are you optimistic that you won't be in hospital again?
Yeah, I'm really trying hard not to go back there.
Yeah. Because I think what needs to go in hospital, you'd have to have a psychotic break and do something strange, and then they would probably put you back in hospital. Okay, Paul. Well, I want to ask you another question. Have you had any breakthroughs that you would like to share? Have you any in your recovery or your mental health journey? Have you had any breakthroughs that you can think of? If not, it doesn't matter.
The biggest breakthrough for me was really stopping smoking weed, to be honest, and drinking. One day I just had enough and stopped completely, and now I only occasionally drink with my friends. And that was the biggest.
Do you like watching films?
No, I don't really. I can't pay attention for long enough, so I don't really watch films. Although I watch a lot of YouTube.
Because I was going to ask you if there's any mental health films, but I know what it's like. Sometimes it can be difficult to ingest media because it can make you paranoid, and you sometimes just don't have interest in what they're talking about. So I can understand that. Okay, Paul, I think we can wrap it up here.
Okay.
It was a pleasure to speak with you. Do you have a particular genre of music that you prefer?
Yeah. I like rap music.
Okay, fine. So that's perfect. Maybe I'll check up on you maybe next year if you want to come back on the show and have another discussion. It's something that I'm trying to sort out. But it's a great pleasure to speak with you, Paul. I wish you all the best for the future. And hopefully we'll keep in touch. Okay.
It's nice to come on.
No problem, man.
I get some bands and I get some bands and my little baby, yeah. I get some bands and I get some bands and my little baby, yeah. I get some bands and I get some bands and my little baby, yeah. I get some bands and I get some bands and my little baby, yeah. It's not tricking if she's yours, so no, I'm spending, yeah. If I got it, then she got it, tell her spend it, yeah. What I own and know she owns enough and rent it, yeah. If I'm dipping, tell her slide. It's no question she gon' ride. Tell her count it up, make sure it's all there. We were down and out, this gon' be all, yeah. I get some bands and I get some bands and my little baby, yeah. I get some bands and I get some bands and tell her spend it, yeah. I get some bands and I get some bands and my little baby, yeah. I get some bands and I get some bands and my little baby, yeah. I get some bands and I get some bands and my little baby, yeah. I get some bands and I get some bands and my little baby, yeah.